Hey everyone's JackelWolf back in Sky Factory 4 with another 5 minutes. That's how I did it. Now, if you've been following along, you know that we are working our way through the advancement book. Last episode, we finished off the Age of Storage by finishing our ME storage system. This is the very basic, this is the very, very minimum storage system from ME. There are a lot of really, really cool things you can do with that. There are also a couple of other advancements in the advancement book. If we go to the Age of all of the things, OMG, LOL, there are these 3 advancements down here on the bottom corner. One of them is zip disk, which is to obtain a 16,384,000 storage cells. So that is quite a bit more than the one that we made last time. There is also Ocean Man, which is to obtain a 4,096 fluid storage cell. And then there's the Hit the Gas, which is to obtain a 4,096 K gas storage cell. So these are all pretty much the maximum item, fluid, and gas storage system for the ME system. And that is an absolute ton of storage for these guys. But to get there, there's going to require us to make a lot of items. And one of the really, really nifty things for the ME, the Applied Energistics ME storage system, is the ability to auto craft. So not only can I set it up to craft a specific number of items, it will actually craft stuff down the chain of items. So a very, very complex, crafting can become very, very simple for you if you have all the right machines hooked up to your ME system. So to get to the point where I can automate the crafting of, this zip disk, we've got quite a bit of work to do this episode. So this episode is going to be doing a whole bunch of setup. As well, we're going to go and work on the Gotta Smelt Fast, which is you can use the Mekanism Energized Smelter in place of a vanilla furnace. So that's going to be our advancement for today. But the bulk of this episode is going to be how to set this up in a way that, it's going to do a lot of the work for us. So first off, we're going to need to build ourselves some crafting units. Now, to make a crafting unit, it is 4 iron ingots, 2 ME glass fluics, 2 calculation processors, and a logic processor. Now, we've made all of this stuff previously, so I'm not going to get into its fabrication right now, but that's going to give us a crafting unit. Now, we're going to take that crafting unit and we're going to pair it up with an engineering processor. That's going to get us a crafting co-processing unit. Now, this is one of the multi-block items. We can add multiples of things like this to our system to sort of, bulk it up a little bit. For this episode, we're going to stick to a very, very simple layout. So now this block is going to allow us to run patterns through our ME storage system. But to keep the patterns in memory while they are running, we're going to need a memory storage system. So to do that, we are going to have to make a storage component very similar to how we made the storage components for our ME drive. And they are the exact same ones. We're just going to use them a little bit differently. It's not going to be an item storage. It's going to be a in-process storage. I don't know if that's the best way of explaining it, but we could go and we can make these with a 1K ME storage component. I don't want to do that. That's not going to be a whole lot of memory because we're going to need a whole ton of processes going on. So we're going to need a bunch of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade ourselves to a 4K ME storage component. That is going to take us 4 pieces of redstone, 3 1K ME storage components, a quartz glass, and a calculation processor. We're going to take that ME storage component and we're going to pair it up with another crafting unit, and that's going to get us a 4K crafting storage. So again, we could mix and match a bunch of these together to get sort of a more powerful unit. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to go and add this to our ME storage system, and then we're going to go add the crafting storage just right on top. You see how that changed there once I added the storage? This is now a legitimate multi-block. This could be a lot bigger with a lot more blocks, but for right now, this is going to be absolutely perfect. If we click on it, we can check our crafting status. Now, we don't have any crafting going on. To do that, we're going to need to add some patterns to our system. Now, the way we're going to add patterns is with a pattern terminal. Right now, we've just got a regular ME terminal that, sort of allows us to sort items and to display them in different ways. We need to upgrade one of these up to a pattern terminal. So to do that, we are first going to need to start with a ME terminal, very similar to the one I've got already hooked up. To make these, we are going to need a formation core, a annihilation core, a logic processor and then just a regular illuminated panel. Now this ME terminal, we've got to actually bump this one up to a crafting terminal. Now a crafting terminal is the ME terminal, a crafting table, a calculation processor in a crafting table gets us that ME crafting terminal. Now ideally, this is the one I'm going to have in place of this one, and I will upgrade this one in the future. This will allow us to actually craft very similar to our simple storage, but right now it's not the one that I need. I need to take this one and then bump it up in a crafting table with an engineering processor. That's going to get us our pattern terminal. So just like the other ME terminal, we've got to go and connect it with some sort of cable. This Fluix cable works really, really well. So we're going to place that down there, and then I'm going to go and pop that one in front. We can now open this up. By default, it is set to show all the items in our system, very similar to the ME terminal. We can change that by clicking on the second button down, the view button, and we're going to go switch that to craftable. Now, we don't have any crafting patterns in our system right now. To make a crafting pattern, we're going to go and have to craft ourselves some blank patterns to start. So a blank pattern is 3 iron ingots, 3 glowstone dust, a Fluix crystal, and 2 pieces of quartz glass. That gets us our blank pattern. Now I'm going to come over here. I've got a couple extra I made just because we're going to need more than one of these. And we're going to go and take all 10 of these blank patterns and we're going to throw them just into this top spot up here. You can see there's an arrow pointed down. That's how we're going to encode our pattern. And for the moment, let's flip this back to so we can see everything that's in our system rather than me kind of going out and going back in. Now you can see I've got a lot of items in here. I've been pulling them from my simple storage system, sort of in prep of this episode, well, more in prep of the next episode. And I've got a vague idea how much many resources it's going to take me to make those really, really large storage cells. So I know for a fact I'm going to need well over 10,000 redstone. I've only got 7,000 in my system right now, but I've got a whole bunch of blocks of redstone. So I could take all these blocks of redstone and I could manually convert them down into, just redstone. But that's a lot of work. And there are going to be times when I'm going to want blocks of redstone. So a nice way of using these pattern terminals is I can take 1 block of redstone, I could put it into the pattern terminal there. It's just a ghost of an image. You're not actually using an item, but you can see it is now converting that down to a redstone. Now I can pull this out, but it's not actually pulling it from the block of redstone. If you watch up top, if I go grab that again, you can see it's my actual redstone that's going down. So this is not a proper crafting terminal, but what we can do is we can take this recipe, we can hit down on the encoding pattern, and now we have programmed ourselves an encoding pattern. So anytime that I am auto crafting and we run out of actual redstone, it will find a block of redstone and convert it automatically for me, which is absolutely perfect. It's absolutely what we want. To do that, though, we're going to need to add a couple more blocks to our ME storage system. The first of which is going to be a molecular assembler. This is going to be the block that does the actual work when it comes to converting and crafting items. To make a molecular assembler, it is going to be 4 iron ingots, 2 quartz glass, an annihilation core, a formation core, and a crafting table. To control this, we're also going to need to add a ME interface. Now, an ME interface is 4 iron ingots, 2 pieces of glass, an annihilation core, and a formation core. And we're actually going to need a bunch of these ME interfaces, and we could actually build ourselves some more molecular assemblers. Again, we're being very, very simplistic in this build, but for now, we're going to go take the ME interface, we're going to throw it up top, and then we're going to take the molecular assembler and we're going to put it down below. So we can go and open up these. We could actually take this encoding pattern, we could throw it in here and kind of maybe do this manually. Not really interested in that. What we want to do is put it up into the ME interface. If we put it into the patterns, this is now listed in our terminal here as a craftable item. So if we go back and we go check, we've got 7,260 redstone. I can go click on here, craft. You know what? Let's do 100. Let's add 100 more redstone to our system. We're going to go click next. You can see this is a valid recipe for crafting. We're going to take 12 blocks of redstone. It's actually going to craft 108 because redstone is 9 each. So I will get extra out of it, but I mean, that was going to happen anyways. So we're going to go hit start. And you can see the redstone is in the molecular assembler. We can come in here and it is taking those blocks. And actually that was quite a bit quicker. And we're now 7,368 pieces of redstone in our system. I'm going to put that block of redstone back. So that is really, really handy. That is really, really good. There is a creeper over on my giant fission reactor. I don't think I've actually seen a mob spawn over there. A little distracting, but not the point. Now, this works well for craftable items, but what if we actually have to manufacture something? Going forward for the next advancements, getting those storage cells, I'm going to need a whole bunch of the advanced Energistics circuitry. To do that, I'm going to add some sort of inscriber system to this ME storage system. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves an advanced inscriber. To start, we're going to need an actual inscriber, which is 2 sticky pistons, 1 fluix crystal, and 5 iron ingots. We're going to take that regular inscriber. We've got one in our world right here, but we're going to go and put it in a crafting table with 2 hoppers, 2 engineering processors, and 4 iron ingots. That's going to get us an advanced inscriber. Now, we are also going to need some sort of ME interface. I'm going to make a new one for here. We can sort of double up on them, but to make things simple and to keep things organized, I'm going to make one for pretty much each machine that we're going to be using today. So we're going to place that ME interface up next to the other one, and then we're going to take that advanced inscriber and we're going to put it just down below. Very, very similar to how we did the other one. It's got a top, it's got a bottom. One of the nice things about it though is you can actually do stacks of ingredients in here, whereas we were limited to 1 at a time in our regular inscriber. So that's really where the advanced inscriber, really, really works really, really well. Now, as far as patterns go, I know for a fact that I'm going to need a whole bunch of printed silicon in my ME system, because mainly because pretty much every single circuit is going to require a printed silicon circuit. So we're going to need an absolute ton of this. So why don't we go and automate this one to start? What we need to do, and it would make sense to have multiples of these inscribers. I'm just going to do one for this episode, but eventually I'm going to have 5 total. It's going to be 1 for each of the presses, and then a 5th one for actually doing, proper circuits, proper circuits using the circuitry, not using a press. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this silicon press, I'm going to put it up in this top slot up here. And then what we need to do is we need to create ourselves a pattern that is going to take a piece of silicon, and it's going to turn it into a silicon chip, is what I'm going to call it. Now, I can't add this here because we are right now on a crafting pattern. As I mentioned before, this is not a crafting pattern. This is going to be a processing pattern is what it calls it here. I was going to call it a manufactured pattern, something that uses a machine to come out, not just a crafting table. So we're going to take that piece of silicon, we're going to take that silicon chip, and then we're going to go and encode this pattern down here. We're going to come over to this ME interface. We're going to go throw this one up top as well. And we can now come back over here, and we have 250 silicon in our system. Why don't we go and actually we could probably do it right from here as well. Why don't we just do 10 of that printed silicon? We're going to go very similar as before. We've got 10 silicon available. It's going to craft us 10 printed silicon chips. We're going to go hit start. We're going to look over here, and this is working exactly like we wanted it to. So this is really, really good. Unfortunately, we've got a little bit of a problem right now. All these silicon chips are staying in the system. Over here with the molecular assembler, all that redstone was shunted right back into our system automatically. But unfortunately, that does not work on our advanced inscriber. To get items out of our inscriber, we're going to need something called a ME import bus. To make an ME import bus, it is simply a sticky piston, a annihilation core, and 2 iron ingots. And we're going to take that out of the crafting table. We're going to come into the back. It doesn't really, I don't think it really matters which areas that you place these on, but what we're going to do is we're going to go place that there, shift, click that, and then we're going to take some ME of that fluix cable, we're going to put it on top, and then we're just going to go bring it over into our ME storage system. We come around front, you can see it is pulling it out and it is throwing it into our storage system. So we now have 10 pieces of printed silicon available. Now, I mentioned that I am going to need an absolute ton of silicon in, to make all of these chips and that. You can see I've only got 251. I don't have a whole lot in my system. It is, making some up top, but it is making it very, very slowly. And ideally, if I ever want to make a ton of these printed silicon chips and I don't have enough in the system, I want it to be able to make some silicon so it can go and make some printed silicon chips. To do that, this is where we're going to get right to that advancement we were talking about. We are going to go and make ourselves a energized smelter. Now, this is just like a furnace, but it is a little bit higher level. To make an energized smelter, it is 4 pieces of redstone, 2 basic control circuits, 2 pieces of glass, and a steel casing. We've made all of these, previously. I'm not going to get too far into it. This is not advanced Energistics. This is Mekanism. So it is a slight bit different than what we've been doing, but we're going to take that energized smelter out. You can see we've got that advancement, Gotta Smelt Fast. Very, very similar to all the other machines we've been using. We are going to need a ME interface. And while we're at it, we're also going to need an ME import bus. So we're going to come back over here. We'll put the interface down. We'll take the energized smelter. We'll put it down below. One other thing to keep in mind is the energized smelter does require power. It does not use the shared power of the applied Energistics machinery. We're going to have to power it separately. So I've got a GPS marker. We're going to go click that. We're going to go shift click that. Saved 11:59:17. So those are the coordinates, and I don't have my glitch armor on. And any second now. I do that more often than not. I keep forgetting I take it off for the episode. So we're going to put that there. It is now going to go and start powering up this block down here, our energized smelter. You see it is now fully powered. We're going to come over to the back and let's go and place that ME import bus and the ME glass cable fluix. Now, one thing we've got to do is we've got to go and program which side this is coming out of. That's coming out of the back. So that's that bottom left corner right there. We're going to go turn that to output. So now anything that is outputted here, it's going to go and pull it right back into our system. So how we make silicon is we need to take crushed quartz, and I'm going to just take half a stack there, and then that's going to get us 1 piece of silicon. I've already got 1 in my inventory. So I'm going to clear this here. I'm going to take the crushed quartz I pulled out. I'm going to go and right click on the pattern terminal. I'm going to take that piece of silicon. We're going to go and put it into the processing pattern. This is a processing pattern. It's not a crafting table pattern. But I've done this incorrectly on purpose. You can see I've got 32 crushed quartz in there for 1 piece of silicon. If I can, this is, as far as the pattern terminal is concerned, this is a legitimate recipe. Creates 1 silicon with 32 crushed quartz. That is not correct at all. This is an incorrect thing. It will pull 32 pieces of quartz, but it will only ever expect 1 silicon back. So it will work in theory, but it's not the way that we wanted to do. We wanted to be 1 per 1, but I've just gone and I've, wasted a encoded pattern. Though to clear it out, I could just take it, put it into a regular crafting table, pull it out, is now a blank pattern again. So that is perfect. That is absolutely what we want. The real proper recipe is going to be that 1 piece of crushed quartz becomes 1 silicon, and we're going to go encode that. We're going to take it out. Let's throw it over in this ME interface here. And now we can come back over to our system and we can say, hey, you know what? I got 257 in here right now. Let's go to our pattern crafter here and let's just do 3. Let's just do 3 more. That's going to get us up to an even number. We're going to hit start, and 257, we can actually come over here and look at it while it's going. These are going to have to get upgraded sometime in the future, especially once I start making, thousands of items. But for right now, this should be perfect. Yeah, 258 is going to go up to 259 and then 260. Now, this is all well and good, but the really, really nice thing about the auto crafting feature is we can use it to make stuff down the line. So I don't have to go in here and first make myself 1,000 silicon. Let's say I don't have any silicon in my ME system, but I want to make myself some printed silicon circuits. What we can do is we can come over here. It knows how to craft silicon. It knows how to craft a silicon circuit. I could craft that silicon circuit. And you know what? Let's say 10. Let's say we need 10 more of these printed silicon circuits. I'm going to click next, and you can see it's now brought up multiple programming bits. Again, 90 bits used. The reason I went with 4K is, you know, if I'm doing thousands of these, it's going to need, you know, thousands of bits to run these programs. So right now, what it is doing is going to take 10 crushed quartz. It's going to craft it into 10 silicon. It's going to take that 10 silicon. It's going to craft it into 10 printed silicon circuits. So we're going to hit start. We're going to come over here. We can watch this energized smelter. It's going to smelt out. It's going to smelt this crushed quartz into silicon. It's going to pull that silicon out. There we go. And it has now pushed it right into our advanced Scriber. You can see it is already going up. And there's that circuit coming out. So this whole system is, you know, limited to how fast you can produce these materials. At some point, I will upgrade. These energized smelters are the Mekanism upgrades. I don't have any in here right now. There are some upgrades for the advanced Energistics blocks as well. Next episode, I think I will get into those. But for the moment, I think that is really it. This is a very, very simple automatic ME storage auto crafting setup. That's a little bit of a mouthful, but this is going to be the basics of what I do next episode when we go and craft ourselves up the zip disk, the Ocean Man, and the Hit the Gas. And then just to recap, we did the Gotta Smelt Fast, which is use the Mekanism and Energized Smelter in place of a vanilla furnace. So that is it. That is absolutely perfect. But let me know in the comments below if you guys did any of these advancements any differently than I did. I would love to hear all the different ways out there, to use this ME storage system, especially this advanced crafting. There are some really, really cool things. This is a very, very basic setup, but it will allow you to, you know, build your way up to a better setup as well. If you enjoyed this video, please think about leaving a like and a subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at JackelWolf. Also, check out the description below. There will be a link to my Discord page. I would love it if you guys stop by to say hi. As well, there will be a link to my Patreon page. If you enjoy this channel, if you enjoy this content and you want to support, stop by, check it out. There are a lot of great perks out there. But that is it. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.